find out your wife did money ritual for you, would you pretend and keep spending the money? How would you react to it? Temilade was a bright young girl who grew up in a small village called Ilupeju. Her parents were hard-working farmers who struggled to make ends meet. Every day, Temilade would wake up before the sun, tie a worn-out wrapper around her waist and follow her parents to the farm. She knew their work was important, but deep down inside of her, she longed for something more, something grand and luxurious. One evening, as they rested under a large mango tree after a long day of work, Temilade's curiosity got the better of her. "Why don't we have nice things like other people, Baba?" she asked her father. Baba Temilade sighed deeply and wiped the sweat off his forehead. "Temi, we do the best we can with what we have," he said gently. "God knows why he gave us this hard life. Hard work is a blessing." But Temilade shook her head. "Hard work doesn't buy fancy clothes, Baba. I want more than this life, more than farming every day." Mama Temi was always the peacemaker. She touched her daughter's arm softly. "Be patient, my dear. God's time is the best. Maybe he has great plans for you." Temilade remained silent, but inside, her impatience grew. She often saw Ayomide, the wealthy merchant's daughter, riding a shining bicycle through the village. One afternoon, she saw Ayomide in her bright dress. Temilade approached her. "Ayomide, where are you going with all these nice things?" Temilade asked, trying to keep the envy out of her voice. Ayomide tossed her long braid and smiled smugly. "I am going to the city for school. My father says education is the way to wealth." Temilade's heart sank. She wanted to go to school too, but she knew her family could not afford it. Every night as she lays on her tin mat, she prayed for a miracle, a way out of the hard life she knew. By the time Temilade turned 25, the desire to leave the village had become unbearable. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, she made up her mind. She packed a small bag with a few belongings, stole a last glance at her parents' sleeping faces, and quietly slipped out of the house. She knew they wouldn't understand, but she couldn't stay anymore. She had dreams to chase. After walking for hours under the moonlight, Temilade finally reached the bus stop. She used the small savings she had secretly gathered over the years to buy a ticket to the city, and soon she was on her way. When she arrived, the city was everything she had imagined: bustling, bright, and full of opportunities. But it was also overwhelming. Temilade had no place to stay. She had no friends and no plans. As she wandered the streets, a group of students around her age saw her sitting alone on a bench. "Hello, are you okay?" one of the girls asked. Temilade hesitated, unsure if she could trust them. I just arrived from the village," she admitted, "and I have nowhere to go." Funke exchanged a look with her friends and they smiled. "You can stay with us, at least until you find your feet," Funke offered. If you are here too, kindly click on the subscribe button and please like this video to encourage me to do more. Temilade couldn't believe her luck. Thank you so much," she said, feeling a rush of gratitude. Her new friends were generous and kind, and soon she was sharing their small apartments and learning the ways of the city. Temilade's days in the city were filled with new experiences. Funke and her friends introduced her to city life, the bustling markets, the nightlife, and how to carry herself with confidence. They taught her how to negotiate prices, blend into crowds, and how to dress to impress. One evening, the girls decided to attend a high-class party at a luxurious hotel. They had borrowed dresses from a boutique, promising to return them in perfect condition. Temilade, wearing a stunning red dress, felt like she was in a dream. At the party, she met a group of wealthy young men. They seemed fascinated by her rural background and the innocence in her eyes. Temilade played along, capturing their attention with stories of village life. One of the men, Kunle, couldn't take his eyes off her. "You are different," he said, leaning closer. "There is something refreshing about you." Temilade's heart fluttered, but she knew she needed more than empty compliments. She needed a way to secure the life she desired. Temilade's new life was better than anything she had known, but she wanted more. She began dressing up in her friends' clothes, borrowing their jewelries, and frequently fancying places, restaurants, clubs, and shops, hoping to meet wealthy people. It was one such restaurant that she caught the eyes of John, a handsome young man in his late 20s. He wasn't extremely rich, but he had a successful business and knew how to present himself well. John approached her with a smile. "Hi, I couldn't help but notice you from across the room. What a beautiful girl like you doing alone." Temilade felt a thrill run down her spine. This was the moment she had been waiting for. "Oh, I am enjoying the evening," she replied, giving her brightest smile. They began to talk, and soon John was smitten by Temilade's beauty and charm. He started buying her expensive gifts, jewelries, designer dresses, and the latest phone. He took her to luxurious places she had only seen in magazines, and for the first time, Temilade felt like she was living the life she had always dreamed of. One evening, as they sat in a posh restaurant overlooking the city, John reached out to Temilade's hand. "Temilade, I love you and I want to marry you. Please, let's build a life together," he said earnestly. Temilade's heart leaped with joy. This was it, a chance to escape her past forever. Yes, I will marry you," she exclaimed, hugging him tightly. As the wedding planning began, cracks began to show. Temilade insisted on only the best, the most expensive wedding dress, the grandest venue, and the finest decorations. John tried to gently suggest they be mindful of the budget, but Temilade wouldn't hear it. "If you truly love me, you will give me the wedding I deserve," she would snap, crossing her arms and turning away. Of course, not wanting to lose her, John agreed. He secretly took out loan to pay for the lavish wedding Temilade wanted. The wedding was the talk of the town. It was grand and glamorous, just as Temilade had always wished. But beneath the surface, the strain on their relationship began to show. The honeymoon was a dream, but the return to everyday life was a rude awakening. John struggled to pay the loans, and the lifestyle they had built began to crumble. Their financial worries led to constant arguments, and John began to avoid coming home, staying late at work to escape the tension. One evening, after a particularly heated fight, Temilade stormed out and went to the local bar. There, she met a group of other women who seemed to understand her frustration. They told her about an old man in the outskirts who could grant her any wish, for a price, of course. Desperate, Temilade visited the herbalist. "I need wealth, real wealth," she pleaded. "Do something for my husband so we don't suffer anymore." The herbalist listened, then finally spoke. "I can give you what you want, but remember, there is always a consequence." Temilade brushed the warning aside. "John would never betray me. Just tell me what to do. I trust him so much." The ritual was performed, and soon John's business began to flourish. Wealth flowed in, and Temilade's dream came true. They bought a mansion, luxurious cars, and also traveled abroad. Temilade even started giving back to the community, donating food and money to the poor, helping widows and supporting motherless children. But as the wealth grew, there was something missing in their life, a child of their home. Despite everything they tried, they were unable to conceive, and pressure began to set in. John's mother grew restless. "My son, who will inherit all your wealth if you don't have a child?" she asked him one afternoon. "Find another woman secretly. Just one child is all you need." John hesitated, but he eventually agreed. He was also desperate to have a child of his own. A young woman from the village was introduced to him, and he began to meet with her in secret. Soon, the woman became pregnant, and everything seemed to be going well until disaster struck. John's business started failing, and his wealth disappeared rapidly. Temilade was confused and desperate. She rushed back to the herbalist, only to find out that the herbalist had passed away, leaving her with no answers and nowhere to turn to. She returned home with a heavy heart, Panic gripped her heart as their fortune evaporated, and she was forced to start selling their luxurious possessions one after the other. The mansion, the cars, and even the expensive jewelries John had once given her. Everything was sold to cover the mounting debts. In the midst of the financial chaos, John was now filled with anxieties and regrets. He decided to visit a pastor who was known for his spiritual insights. The pastor listened carefully to John's story and then gave him a stern warning. "The source of your troubles lies in your household," he said cryptically. "Your wife knows why your wealth has vanished." Shocked and filled with suspicion, John confronted Temilade that same evening. He had gathered his family, including his mother, who had long suspected something was amiss. "What have you done, Temilade?" John demanded. His voice was trembling with a mist of anger and desperation. "Tell me the truth." Temilade's face turned pale. She had hoped the consequence would never catch up with her, but now, cornering and surrounded by John's accusing gaze, she felt the weight of her secrets bearing down on her shoulder. Finally, unable to bear the guilt, Temilade confessed, "Yes, I did the ritual, but I don't understand why we are suffering now. The only condition was that you must never be with another woman." John's face turned pale. "What? You did what for me? I have another woman, and she is even pregnant at the moment." The room fell silent. The truth of John's affair shattered Temilade's world, and John sank to the floor, overwhelmed with regret. Temilade and John lost everything, returning to a simple life. After the confession, John and Temilade's life turned into a daily struggle. They moved back to a small house in the village, far away from the luxury they once knew. At first, Temilade found it difficult to adjust. No more fancy clothes, no more trips, no more expensive dinners. But as the month passed, she began to accept a new reality. One quiet evening, Temilade sat outside their small hut staring at the sunset. John joined her, a heavy sadness still hanging in the air between them. "Do you think we will ever find happiness again?" she asked softly. John looked at her, his eyes tired but gentle. "I think we need to make peace with our past. We must learn to be thankful for what we have." Temilade nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I am sorry, John. I was so blinded by my desire for wealth. I never realized how much damage I was causing." John took a hand, squeezing it gently. "We both made mistakes, but we have a chance to start all over now." Months turned into years, and Temilade and John worked hard to rebuild their lives. Temilade, once filled with bitterness and envy, began to change. She started helping the villagers with small tasks, and slowly the villagers began to embrace her. And Temilade found a sense of belonging she had never known before. John too found comfort in his new honest work. He took up farming, not to become rich, but to provide for his family with dignity. Though their lives were simple, there was a peace they had never felt in their days of luxury. One day, as Temilade was walking back from the market, she saw a group of children playing and laughing. A young girl ran up to her holding a flower. "Auntie Temi, this is for you," the girl said, smiling brightly. Temilade's heart swelled with warmth. She had once envied those with more, but now she felt richer than she had ever felt. She knelt down and hugged the girl, realizing that true happiness wasn't about gold or fancy dresses. It was about the love and connection she had found. Years later, John and Temilade had settled comfortably into village life. Although they never had children of their own, they became godparents to many of the village children. They were respected elders, known for their wisdom and generosity. The villagers often come to them for advice, and Temilade used her story as a cautionary tale for young girls who were tempted to chase after a life of shallow luxury. One Sunday, after church service, the village chief approached them with a proposition. "Temilade and John, you have both shown great courage and have learned from your past. We need leaders who understand value of hard work and humility. Would you consider taking on a role as a community advisor?" Temilade was shocked. Once, She had chased after position of importance, but now the honor was being offered freely because of who she had become. She accepted, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. As the years went on, Temilade became a storyteller, sharing the story of her life with the children gathered around her. She would sit under the great bamboo tree at the edge of the village, where everyone would gather to listen. Her voice, filled with passion, would draw everyone in. Once there was a girl named Temilade, she would begin, who thought happiness was found in gold and riches. She chased after her dreams the wrong way and lost everything. But she learned that greatest treasure is love, and the greatest power is forgiveness. She would end her story with a lesson: always be grateful for what you have, and never lose yourself while chasing what you think you want. Temilade and John grew old together, content with the life they had rebuilt. They became known as the wise ones of Ilupeju, and their simple home was always filled with laughter, friends, and warmth. When they eventually passed away, the villagers honored them with beautiful ceremony. They were laid to rest side by side under the bamboo tree. Years later, children would still gather under the same tree to hear the story of the girl who had learned that the greatest riches of all were found in the simplest thing. The lessons of Temilade and John would be passed down from generation to generation as a reminder that happiness, gratitude, and love are the true treasures of life. What do you gain from this story, my viewers? Let me share mine. My moral for this story is: never sacrifice your value or those you love for temporary gain. True contentment comes from being true to yourself and valuing what truly matters. The pursuit of wealth should never overshadow the importance of love, humility, and kindness. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more amazing content.